Hello and welcome back to What Is, the channel where we take life's biggest questions, brightest curiosities, and occasional existential dread, and try to break them down into something vaguely understandable. Today, we're diving headfirst into a topic that's been on humanity's collective mind since, well, probably since we first figured out what fire could do, the apocalypse. And more importantly, why are we always expecting one? You might groan, another end-of-the-world story, haven't we had enough? But before you envision meteors, zombies, or an army of sentient toasters, let's unpack what apocalypse actually means, because it's probably not what you think. The word apocalypse comes from the ancient Greek, apocalypsis, which doesn't mean total destruction or brain-eating undead. It means uncovering or revelation. It's about revealing something hidden, often a divine truth, by pulling back the veil. So while it certainly involves dramatic, world-altering events, the original intent was less about the end and more about the beginning of understanding. Or sometimes the dramatic, fiery end of one era, paving the way for another. Usually a better one after all that unpleasantness. Think of it, the Book of Revelation, for instance, isn't just fire and brimstone, it's a vision of a new heaven and a new earth. In Zoroastrianism, the world ends through a series of purifying fires and floods, leading to a restored world. Even in Norse mythology, Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, sees the world plunged into chaos, only for a new, younger generation of gods and humans to emerge from the wreckage. So far from a clean slate to absolute nothingness, it's often a divine reset button, albeit one with a very, very dramatic sound effect. So if the apocalypse is meant to be a revelation, why have we spent millennia treating it like the universe's ultimate eviction notice? Because humans, bless their neurotic little hearts, love a good dramatic narrative. And nothing says drama like the ultimate showstopper, the final curtain call for civilization. Throughout history, we've latched onto apocalyptic prophecies with the tenacity of a barnacle on a particularly doomed ship. The year 1000 AD, people genuinely thought the world was ending. Monasteries saw a surge in desperate pilgrims, lands were given away, and everyone just kind of waited. When midnight struck on December 31st and the world was still, the relief must have been palpable, followed probably by a collective, "Wait, so I gave away all my cows for nothing." Fast forward a bit. Comets streaking across the sky, definitely a sign. Eclipses, portents of doom. The Black Death, which wiped out a third of Europe. Pretty apocalyptic if you were living through it. The Cold War gave us the ultimate man-made apocalypse. Nuclear annihilation. We built the means to end ourselves, then spent decades staring down the barrel, knowing that at any moment some overworked general could spill coffee on a big red button. Good times, and today? Oh, we have a smorgasbord of apocalypses to choose from. Climate change, check. Robot uprising, still waiting for my toaster to gain sentience, but I'm ready. AI taking over likely. Asteroid impact, always a classic. Global pandemics, been there, done that, still got the slightly used hand sanitizer. And of course the ever-popular zombie outbreak. Seriously, how many different ways can we possibly tell a zombie story? The only revelation I've had in that genre is that cardio is vital for survival. But why, despite countless failed predictions and the continued existence of this slightly damp, surprisingly resilient planet, do we keep clinging to these apocalyptic visions? Part of it is our inherent need for narrative. We want a beginning, a middle, and an end. The idea that everything simply continues perpetually without a grand finale can feel unsatisfying. A bit anticlimactic, wouldn't you say? An apocalypse provides ultimate closure, an explanation for everything, and a sense of cosmic justice or cosmic indifference. It gives meaning to suffering, or at least a big ol' exclamation point to the whole human experiment. Then there's the sense of control. If you know the end is coming, you can, theoretically, prepare. You can hoard canned goods, build a bunker, learn to hotwire a car, or simply make your peace with the universe. It's a perverse form of empowerment, thinking you're ahead of the curve, that you're one of the aware ones. Even if all you're doing is stress-buying toilet paper, at least you're doing something. Apocalyptic prophecies also serve as powerful psychological and sociological tools. They reinforce existing beliefs. For the religious, it's proof of divine scripture. For environmentalists, it's a dire warning about our impact on the planet. For anyone feeling disenfranchised, it offers the hope of a truly fresh start, wiping the slate clean of all the perceived injustices and inequalities. It's the ultimate reset button, promising that maybe, just maybe, the next world will be a little better. You know, after all the current world-ending fireworks. And let's not forget catharsis. There's something strangely compelling, almost purifying, about imagining everything being destroyed and rebuilt. It allows us to confront our deepest fears: loss, chaos, death, from a safe distance. In movies, we can watch cities crumble without getting any dust in our eyes. It's a way to process the fragility of life and civilization without actually having to dodge falling debris. So is the apocalypse a real thing we should be actively waiting for, perhaps with a good book and a comfortable armchair? Or is it something more nuanced, something that's perhaps already happening, just not with quite the cinematic flair we've been promised? Many scholars argue that the apocalypse isn't a single event but a continuous process. Climate change, economic collapse, political upheaval, technological disruption, these are all slow-motion apocalypses, gradually altering our world in profound ways, often without a single dramatic bang. We're not facing one big meteor, we're facing 1,000 tiny pebbles slowly eroding our foundations. It's less the asteroid impact of deep impact and more the slow, inexorable rise of sea levels. Less exciting but arguably more terrifying. And let's be honest, pop culture doesn't help. We are absolutely saturated with end-of-the-world scenarios. Every other movie, TV show, and video game features some variation of the apocalypse, making it feel less like a possibility and more like an inevitability, just waiting for its turn to be greenlit. We need a new villain. Apocalypse, we need higher stakes. Apocalypse, we need an excuse for a grizzled protagonist to drive through a desert wasteland in a souped-up armored truck. You guessed it, apocalypse. We love these stories because they make us feel alive, they make us think about what truly matters, and they give us an excuse to imagine what we'd do if all the rules went out the window. But here's the kicker. Apocalyptic narratives, for all their doom and gloom, often contain a hidden message of hope. They remind us of the preciousness of what we have. They can be a powerful call to action, urging us to change our ways before it's too late. If the apocalypse is truly a revelation, then perhaps the real revelation is not about the end of the world, but about the world we're building right now with our choices and actions. Maybe the apocalypse is less about some cosmic clock striking zero and more about humanity constantly grappling with profound change, wrestling with its own destructive tendencies, and then hopefully through that struggle, uncovering a path towards something better. The end of an era, not all eras. So the next time you find yourself scrolling through headlines predicting the end of everything, which, let's face it, is probably Tuesday, remember this. Expecting the apocalypse isn't a sign of delusion, it's a deeply human trait. It's our way of wrestling with the unknown, finding meaning in chaos, and occasionally, just occasionally, entertaining the idea that maybe, just maybe, everything could be different. Perhaps even better, or at the very least you'll have a fantastic story to tell about that time you almost survived the zombie apocalypse, if only your internet didn't cut out just as you were Googling best ways to decapitate the undead. Thank you for joining us on this slightly unsettling, yet hopefully enlightening, journey into why we're always looking for the world to end. If you enjoyed this dive into the human psyche and our obsession with global calamity, please hit that like button, subscribe to What Is for more thought-provoking content, and let us know in the comments below. What's your preferred method for the world to end? And what would be the first thing you'd do on Judgment Day? We'd love to hear your highly practical and definitely not panic-driven plans. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and try not to worry too much about the giant space rock hurtling towards us. Probably.